I'm only going to give you a little tiny bit because the real story of where this program comes from is much more complex. I really would have to talk about my own experiences growing up as a child in a very disadvantaged environment without a mother for most of my life, with a father who had to work 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, who was already in a post-traumatic stress disorder from the Holocaust and losing 2 wives and a daughter who was killed, and was really unable to be a guide for me, and an extended family that didn't come through. So I really grew up appreciating, interestingly enough, it could have gone either way, understanding the incredible value of having someone to guide you. And also the second factor being, so that universal piece of what we talk about, the universal piece of guiding that these children are deprived of. And then, of course, the second part, being labeled, going to school, and no one ever once asking me, not one time, what would help you learn better? What do you need? How are you feeling? Who are you? No one. And I think about all my education. Never once thought it might be a good idea to think about what advantages could you provide me so that I could learn better, so that I could become a more confident person. Never even brought up the subject, not once. And so there is a second issue here, which is my real sensitivity to seeing people as individuals, seeing children who have vulnerability, because I was a child with vulnerabilities, as people. I'm really spending the time to understand, even if they're not going to be able to answer the question of what do you need, but trying to understand what are the advantages that we need to provide for them so that they can benefit from guiding. But no one did that for me. In fact, when I was in second grade, my mother was dying. I was severely depressed. I have ADHD. And I was so nearsighted, nobody knew that at the time. I couldn't see the blackboard. So the assumption was I had what was called then mental retardation. And I was put in the mental retardation classes. And which wasn't traumatic, by the way, because I was so out of it. I didn't see it as a stigma. I thought it was cool that, nobody's bothering me. We went on walks, right? And then I got a little less depressed, and then they decided to do IQ testing with me, found out I had a 140 IQ, and then without even thinking about it, put me in gifted classes. No thought, just by test. And just, again, no sense of my needs, no sense about what advantages you could provide that would make learning benefit me. Never. Just labeled here, put there, labeled there, put there, right? So I think there's a real sensitivity both to that universal need, which I'm very sensitive about, and then the need to be seeing people as individuals, unique individuals. And then there's a third issue, which is how devastating to a family a crisis can be if we don't support that family and empower them to gain the resources that they have. How devastating, because I'm a victim of that devastation. And our extended family just walked away. Nobody wanted to take up the slack. Nobody wanted to chip in. And certainly there weren't any helping groups that were there.